Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 10 of the Crisis Point podcast, a Marvel Crisis Protocol podcast, of course. I'm your gracious host, Shane, not Ryan, today. And I'm joined by my esteemed co host, Ben. Ben, how's it going?
Good. I wonder if I'm gracious too. I don't
No,
always feel gracious,
not
but
really. And then,
but
Ben, why don't
esteemed. I
you,
do like esteemed.
sure, Ben, why don't you introduce our special guest today on the pod?
So we have a very special guest. He is one of my favorite human beings, and just salt of the earth, um, and just Colossus's best friend. It is the man, the myth, the legend, Dyzard. How are you, Diz?
Great. I didn't know that I'm salt of the earth, but I'll take it.
Yeah,
And as far as you go, I don't know about gracious, but I would say you're very humble. I think
ah,
humble's a good one for you.
I appreciate that. See, it's one of the many reasons why I love you, why your listeners love you. It's awesome.
Ben's
Uh,
actually
we, we,
known for how humble he is, in fact.
it's a gift of mine. It's I have a hard time. I have to come in doorway sideways. Of just that's how humble my how big my head is. It's just so humble, right?
That's
Yeah.
fair.
Uh,
Well, anyway, so I mean, before we get into stuff, how's everybody doing? What have you guys been playing lately? What's the new cool stuff? Obviously, Ben, you just came back from LVO, and that was a whole thing. But like, what have you been playing lately in MCP?
I've been playing a lot of Hydra. I just think it's one of the funniest things in the whole wide world to to get off Hydra High Council. It is just I giggle endlessly when it happens, and so I've been playing it a whole bunch, um, and it's been really fun. I've gotten it twice. I almost got it off in my TTS game tonight, and just that didn't happen. It made me the big sad. But I've got a new challenge, which is
Is this a
to
public
to make
challenge or a challenge to
no no
yourself?
a challenge to myself,
Oh,
which
okay.
is to live the dream with the Sentinels. We're gonna make it happen. We're I'm gonna suffer into the ground, and it's gonna be glorious. And it'll be great. Um, how about yourself there, Shane?
Well, I was sitting here watching LVO, jealous of you and everybody else that was able to go out and have a good time and play competitive games over there. And I've for the most part, so I was playing in the Lunch Meat Classic, which was super fun. I went 3-1 over there with my Spider Foes, and I'm playing in the TTS Season X in the Central Bracket, and I am currently 1-0, and I'm playing my other game, my second game tomorrow. And I've been trying to figure out what I want to play for that, other because naturally it's foes, right?
Hmm.
But I have been playing a Winter Guard roster that I made like a week ago, and it's the for the first time in a long time I actually feel like I want to play something other than foes. And we could do a whole episode on this roster. I'm so high on it. It's just
You are very giddy about it. It's good. It's a
I
good roster.
absolutely love it. I think Winter Guard are like secretly decent. Um, but we don't have to talk about my Winter Guard roster right now. Um, that's basically what I've been up to, and I might play Winter Guard tomorrow. I think I'm going to. I feel pretty good
Oh,
about it. Should I play Winter
you
Guard or
heard it here.
Spider Foes, Dizzard?
Winter guard because they won't expect it.
Exactly.
Hit him with that undercut.
There you go. There you go. Dizzard, what have you been playing lately? What's new?
I've been actually back on my X Force train. It's been a hot minute since I played them last. And what's funny is the list is actually looking more and more back to what it used to look like, even though things have changed quite a bit. But it's actually pretty similar. But back on X Force, I was playing foes for a while,
Hmm.
and my first game for the TTS League, I played foes, and then the second game I played X Force. It was a good game, but just didn't go my way, and took the loss there. So I'm hitting the X and ones already. So
Ooh.
hopefully we can get X Force into the cuts. That's the dream, right?
So you guys
That's
both
the
lost your second game, so I feel like I'm like jinxing myself in this call as I play tomorrow. I'm gonna enter
It'll
the
be
one and
fun.
ones. It could happen.
It's
Um,
it's it's fun.
Yeah, it's really where all the cool kids are is 1-1.
I've lost my second week game in every TTS league I've played so far.
Have you really?
I mean, this is only my third league, so it's. But I have, yeah. In season 8, week 2 is my first loss. Well, my only
Oh,
loss in
yeah,
Swiss, and then
yeah.
last year or last season I lost week 2 and 3, and then went 4-2.
I remember that now. That's funny.
Yeah, yeah, it's a thing. But anyway, X Force, that's pretty exciting. That's
It always
exciting.
is, yeah. Haha.
Season X, X Force.
Oh,
Yeah, it's time to get back to them. I've been off of X Force for quite a while now. I don't even know how long it's been. Probably since probably this time last year, actually, that I think about it.
So,
Um,
do you think that I've seen a lot of people say that they think cable is not too bad right now?
I'm actually one
Um,
of those believers.
okay.
I'm one of the people pushing the agenda that cable's actually a good five right now.
Can you talk to me about that right now? Because I,
Absolutely.
not that I
you,
am,
I mean,
you
not, not that
you
I like
you
hard
have opened a
disagree.
can of worms. I don't know if you're ready for.
I just want to
I
hear.
love it.
I want to hear it for
I love it.
myself.
Here,
All
let's
right,
hear the
so
pitch.
okay, so first of all, a lot of crises are more. I feel like the game's more designed around like I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. Like things are just closer. A
Hmm.
lot of games are just closer in general. So Cable's range 5 is such a bigger impact than it was before. Sure, you got Bucky, you got Rocket, but they don't have a range 5 that has a throw and a shield and a body slide. Like he's such a good objective player right now. If you can get him on Infinity Formula, it's huge because so often he can literally just body slide, shoot twice, throw something, body slide back, and still be on the point and potentially even grab an extract at the same time.
Hmm.
Being able to utilize his kit in ways that are for the scenario is just more open now because of how close things are between secures and extracts. More extracts to pick up means him holding an extract happens a lot more often. So he's just more useful in that way. So like he's end up being more useful than let's say I'm trying to think of like a Bucky or Rocket who could potentially be an easy target that go down easier, or somebody who's going to be up in the front lines and you're going to lose them earlier. So he's somebody who's going to last longer, hold an extract for you when there's more extracts to be holding. He has the 2 power, which is great. The wild incinerate still the same thing. Like his gun's still the same thing, but it's like it's just it feels a lot better than it used to. Just because I think of how the crises in the games are playing, as well as like how the meta is. There's a lot of weak energy defense in the meta right now. Jugs, Rhino, to name a few. Like those are like probably the 2 biggest ones I can think of.
Hmm.
Love Cable loves seeing them because it's 5 die energy into their 3. Then it makes it 2 when they get incinerated. Like he's actually packing and able to get his power built up to be able to do what he wants to do. And then occasionally you can pop off with the Discounting Song and really go crazy with it and have a lot of fun. And the fact that there's a lot of Red Skulls around, the fact that he's bringing both energy and a Mystic attack, yeah, you're paying 6 power for that Mystic attack, but you have that option when it comes to Red Skull, and it's kind of been very useful. So I will say like he's still like I guess he's not like a top tier 5 by any means. I won't say that. I won't like
Yeah.
try to tell anybody that he's a top tier 5, but he definitely like he earns his value in my opinion, and I have a hard time not taking him. My league game this week, I actually opted to not bring him, and I just played leaderless X Force, and the entire time I just like every attack I was like short 1 of days in the purse, and I was like, if I had that X Force reroll, it might have changed it. So I'm very much adamant about like Cable just feels a lot better in the current meta due to his kit. Like his kit is this. I've always told people this too. Like if you just like cover your hand over like the top half of his card, Cable has an amazing kit. his issue always is his builder ends up either hitting or missing. Like it's either you live or die by Cable dice. You're either gonna have a great game with Cable because he hit really well on his first shot or his second shot and built up a lot of power round one to be able to utilize his kit. Or he doesn't, and then he's just kind of struggle busting the entire game because he can't use his kit the way that you want to. That's how Cable plays. Is if you can get the power flowing on him, he has a great game. If you don't, he's gonna struggle and he's gonna feel kind of like an anchor. But like as soon as he gets power, he is absolutely a powerhouse.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm definitely intrigued. I haven't played a ton of X-Force personally, which means I haven't played a lot of Cable, generally
Yeah.
speaking. I think, Ben, we had a conversation not long ago where I was trying to convince you to splash Cable somewhere, but I don't remember what it was. And
It was in my Hydra list. It was in my and he's
Oh,
in
Well,
it.
that'd be actually really good there because giving extra power from Skull as well as getting the heal off of Struckers when he could get out the incinerates. I
Yeah.
kind of like that.
yeah, and he's good on like all your shapes too on your roster.
Yes.
Yeah.
He loves like he's good on a D because he can body slide shoot. He's great on Bs because body slide. He's great. Like body slide's such an amazing superpower. It kind of has me nervous for Spider Woman having the same thing, but hers costs an hour extra, doesn't it? Is it 3 for her? No, hers is 2 still.
Yeah, hers is
It's two, but she gains one per turn, so she's
Yeah.
not generating.
True.
Yeah, that's true. I love it on Nova, or not Nova.
Yeah.
Wrong bald lady. Ancient One. I'm a
True.
huge Ancient One fan, and that character she gets the 2 power per turn, and she has the 2 power place 2.
Well, I got a comparison for you because you play so much foes. Cable's builder is essentially the same as Goblins, except for add it to range 5.
Yeah, and with different conditions. Well,
Yeah.
extra conditions on
But as far as I feel like Goblin and Cable are actually really similar, except for Goblin's a 4 threat and then he's a 5 threat. But and you can see the differences. Like he's got different health stats, different kit overall. But like Goblin and Cable kind of operate the same. Where it's like if Goblin's like first couple attacks just whiff, he has a rough time doing what he needs to throughout the game.
yeah, that's true. Goblin definitely loves getting online super early. He is very similar to Cable in that regard. Like they're both relatively mobile. Goblin's a little bit faster overall, but
Yeah.
it's an interesting comparison. But anyway, this is our intro still. So we have a very important segment that we need to get to. And I had to go and I had to make sure the wheel was right because Ryan's the one who has the wheel. And, he doesn't send us the updated version. Why would he? So I had to go make sure that we're good for this. But we are entering the one, the only Splash Mountain. So for the uninitiated, the unwashed masses, Splash Mountain is a segment where we take a big wheel. It may be virtual, it may be real. You don't know. And
it's definitely we have the budget for a real one.
Yeah.
Just yeah.
We put the name of every character in Marvel Crisis Protocol except Dormammu and past entrants of Splash Mountain. And we put those names on the wheel, and then we spin the wheel, and whichever character it lands on, the 3 of us on the cast, however many of us there are in the cast tonight, 3, we fire from the hip, and we come up with splash destinations for this character. So, are we ready, guys?
Absolutely.
All right, I'm spinning the wheel.
Ready to be washed by Splash Mountain. Give it to me.
Watch it be
man.
Cable.
It's happening. If it was Cable, that'd be nuts. I think we've talked about Cable too much today. Okay, this is a weird one. So last week we got Juggernaut, and I commented that we're gonna get like really janky ones that don't get splashed for like the next 8 weeks. So here's a character that's good ? Because he has an amazing leadership. Kingpin.
Okay.
We have Kingpin. So Kingpin is affiliated, and I want to say he's just Foes and Syndicate. I don't think he's in Cabal or anything like that.
He
is Cabal.
in Cabal. He is Cabal.
Yeah.
He is Cabal. God, I didn't even know that. So we can't splash from there.
That's how much he's splashed. He's not even taken in Cabal that often.
Yeah. So I'll go over his card really quick and give you guys time to think. And so with Kingpin, he's a 4 threat. 4-3-3 defensive stat line. He's got 7 stamina on his healthy side and 7 on his injured side, so he's a very beefy boy. He is a size 3 short mover on a medium base. He's got a range 2 builder called Headbutt, 5 dice physical. It has a wild stun and a wild push, size 3. He's got an energy beam 3 called Cane Laser. It's 4 dice. It ignores LOS and cover. Hail to the King is a spender. It's an amazing spender. It's 3 power, 7 dice, range 2, with an auto throw, size 3 or less short, and an auto stagger. Very good spender. We're going to ignore the massive text on his leadership because it doesn't matter. He has a 2 power throw called Street Level Negotiations that is terrain and character, size 3 or less within 2, throwing medium, which is quite good. And then he has intense physical conditioning. For 1 power, it is a shrug. If he suffers damage, he can use this power and reduce the amount by 1. And then he has solid frame, so he does not suffer damage from collisions with other characters. And I believe his injured side is the exact same. I don't think anything changes stat-wise.
Does his health change?
Nope, 7-7.
Oh, okay.
He's a big boy.
He's a
So,
real big boy.
I mean, the obvious downside to this character is that he is very slow. And if he gets displaced, it's kind of a problem. But who wants to go first? Who's thinking for Splash Mountain first?
Diz, unless you're chomping at the bit,
Go ahead.
okay.
You got this one.
Are you ready? I got this. Okay, so I'm torn between 2 really good spots, and I think I'm going to go with my initial gut reaction, pun intended. I want him in Midnight Suns. Okay. I don't know if you know this, but Kingpin being a rich man, it gets really boring just running, crime syndicates and all that stuff. Sometimes you need to go after the spooky stuff. And you did mention, Shane, you did insult the man that he was a little slow. So what if I told you, Shane, that with 1 walk and a little bump in the night, sometimes it's a little bump in the night. With Kingpin, it's a big bump. Okay, and he bumps himself, and he actually can get in range turn 1 to get the wild stun, wild push, get him into the game a little bit quicker, a little bit faster. He's got some throws that some of the Midnight Suns, the core Midnight Suns, don't have access to, which is really nice. He's got some displacement that he can offer the Midnight Suns while still getting there a little bit faster, doing a little bit more. And he's a tank that the Midnight Suns currently don't really have. Like I said, you've got Ghost Rider as a quote-unquote tank, and his tankiness comes from, him dying and coming back. But I really like him in Midnight Suns. I think he can move a little bit faster and actually get relevant turn 1 with Midnight Suns. So that's my answer.
Midnight Suns. Very interesting.
Big bump in the night. Big bump.
Okay. Dyzard, do you want to go next, or do you want me to go?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and go.
Okay.
So I've never splashed Kingpin anywhere. I've actually very rarely played Kingpin. And something that comes to mind is something that can give him like power. So like, first thing that came to mind was like X-Men Blue. Being able to get that spender off pretty efficiently would be kind of cool. Like if you could get it to where you could pop off the spender with like twice a round with him only having like maybe 2 power or 3 power, like you'd have to have 3 power to do it right. You'd have to have 4 to do it twice.
Yeah.
Anyways, but like being able to do that would be insane. But then the other thing that comes to mind is Inhumans, being able to just pass him power to get his 2-cost throw, the spender. I think Inhumans actually kind of neat for him. And I think they're another team too that doesn't really have like a tanky person. Like they have like Hit Me Black Bolt because he wants to be flipped, but they don't really have like a person who's like, let me sit around here and just like take all the hits for my people. And I think running him in there with sacrifice would be pretty neat.
I like it.
Okay. Yeah,
I like it.
that's not bad. So, I mean, you said X-Men Blue, which had me worried for a second there because I was going to say X-Men Gold. Um,
Oh,
so, I mean, kind of similar thinking with the bump, the X-Men Place, the Storm Hop. He is, first of all, he's a pretty chunky base. He's not a large base, but he's a medium base. So he's a decent target to hop off of. And I think him being able to hop off of other people is also really nice, just because of, like we said, his mobility is like very not exciting. But once he's in the fight, he is there's a lot that he can do with the 2-power throw and the amazing spender. And then on top of that, he's so tanky. You give him cover, and it's just like he's not dying. Damage reduction, storm cover, 14 total health, pretty good defensive stats. I don't hate it. There's worse places you could put him for sure. And I think that's all I could come up with. So that's
I'll give you a bonus one. I want Kingpin in Defenders so that his cane laser is now mystical.
That's what we need. we need to tech for cane laser.
Just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, Mystic ignores cover.
Right.
Line of sight too, right?
Yes, it does ignore line of sight.
Yeah, right? So, come on.
Hey, maybe.
Just give him Baron Mordo. Look, let's just tech and make Kingpin just the best Kingpin that we can do.
Why not, right? All right.
Splash Mountain.
That concludes Splash Mountain. Clearly an all-star episode here, Splash Mountain. So Kingpin is now off the table. We don't ever have to Splash Mountain Kingpin ever again, so we can celebrate that. I just realized we have Red Skull 2 on here twice because we have Master of Hydra and then we have Red Skull Master of Hydra. I'm going to fix that.
I mean, he's the Master of Hydra.
He's very, very... I love Red Skull, Master of Hydra. Anyway, so we're moving on now to a new segment. We have a brand new spanking, shiny, exciting segment that is ironically talking about things that are not brand new or shiny, and that's like the whole point. So we, in the past, if you've listened to us, you are aware that we tend to talk about spoilers and new cards, and we'll read the card like everybody else, and we'll talk about our opinions on the card, just like a lot of other podcasts do. And we decided that maybe this is a little bit, done and worn out, because I think we'd probably be talking about Ulick right now, because that just came out. It just got spoiled. But we're not going to talk about Ulick or Emma Frost or anything. We're going to talk about something that has been out for, I want to say, like 7-8 months, where the shine has just begun to worn off, and it's not new or exciting anymore, and it's really settled into the game, and we can kind of reflect now with that hindsight in mind, I guess. So today we're going to be talking about Steve Rogers, Captain America, Steve Rogers, whatever, World War II Cap, Bully Cap, whatever you call him.
Bully Cap, yeah, there you go.
And the original Human Torch. So we're not going to read the card. If you guys want to follow along, you can pull up the card on Cerebro or, Crit Wild, whatever it is you use. But, I mean, who do we want to start with first, Steve Rogers or Human Torch?
I would say let's do Human Torch first. We saved the Captain for last.
I'm fine with that. So, all right. So the original Human Torch, he is SHIELD affiliated only. He's a 3-threat. So I think this box in general has been like, it definitely doesn't feel like it breathed life into SHIELD the way people like wanted it to when it came out. Not that SHIELD needed life breathed into it, but I don't think, like, for instance, LVO just finished and Vincent Kirchhoff won with SHIELD. I don't think he had either of these characters in his roster.
No.
Yeah.
So
I do know he tested them
yes.
when they were first coming out, because I played him a bunch back then.
But no, I think he ultimately decided that he liked the list the way he was running it better the other way.
Hmm.
Yeah, and being only Shield affiliated, so I mean, starting with Human Torch, we haven't seen him really splashed anywhere on like a relevant level, right?
No.
No,
Yeah,
I
not
mean,
that I can
the only one
recall.
I can
Yeah.
think of was Everwinter Phil in the grand finals. His Dark Dimension roster had Human Torch on it, but he didn't
Oh
play
yeah, the
against me.
yeah the Phil the Younger. Yeah, he played Human Torch against me. Yeah,
Okay, so I thought he played it somewhere. He didn't play it against me, and he was
yeah.
presumably taking it for he wanted to use the extract stuff a little more. This is pre-crisis change,
Yes. Yeah.
so like that's another thing too. Is like he has two hot to handle, which is 3 power. Choose an enemy character within range 2. They drop an asset token. Since Human Torch has come out, I think we've had like 3 more of these
Mhm.
that are all better. Most of the time it's tied to tactic cards. But Ben, what are your thoughts on Human Torch?
So when he first came out, or at least was first spoiled, I was kind of concerned, um, because we had that single extract shenanigans, and any character that has a drop just concerns me. Um, the Nova Blast is just, if we're gonna be honest, it's just kind of funny, right? It's just not good. um,
Yeah, it's not a great
you know,
spender. It's,
here's a beam to cost 1 spender that you can dump more power into it and just, yeah, I don't know. And yeah, the second he dropped, I think first of all, I think he's a gorgeous model. I really like the model itself. I really love how people paint him. Um, Alyssa, my wife, did a absolutely wonderful job painting our Human Torch, and really love that. And that's really kind of where my love where kind of stops for Human Torch. I ran into him a couple times, and just I'm not I'm never really worried about him anymore.
he's never felt strong to me when I'm playing against
Yeah,
him. Like he's never felt
yeah,
like a threat really in any way.
yeah.
And
What?
I understand he's kind of like a tech. I don't know if he's like a support piece because he doesn't have like control, but I don't know. Like, he doesn't hit that hard either. And I think another thing is you compare him to Pyro. Oh my god, Pyro is so
Right.
much better than Human Torch, and
Yeah.
they're
What?
similar niches.
Yeah. What?
I mean,
What are your?
they're kind of the same nature, aren't they? Like they're in the way that like Pyro does is about probably just as survivable.
Mhm.
Um, does in my opinion way more damage, more consistent damage is probably the best way to put it.
Hmm.
Um, and Pyrotechnics is just like a consistent and I like to I don't want to talk about Pyro here, but when I look at Pyrotechnics, I think back to everybody talking about Midnight Phantasmagoria and how
Mhm.
broken that card was. When Pyrotechnics is essentially Midnight Phantasmagoria with a condition on it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wholeheartly agree. I think Human Torch, and I think Shane, you said it too, right? As other characters, you look at Spider Woman, who is a 4 threat, but does similar stuff, right?
Yeah.
And just infinitely better. And Pyro, who at the same threat, who is a 3/4/3 with a range 4, attack that's 5 dice that get boosted up to 7, right? He's got the beam. He's got a amazing spender. He's got just an abusive kit as a whole,
Well,
right?
then it's a much more common like affiliation too, and like he is a boon for that affiliation.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think I mean we see Pyro ever. Except I know we're not talking about Human Torch, but it's hard not to compare the two. And I just yeah, I just don't see Human Torch really unless they fix some stuff, or they get something that can really help out beams, right?
I think that they were really banking on a new age being like a deal maker for this character.
That's fair.
Because that card does it looks like a really good card, and it is a good card. It's just Shield doesn't take advantage of it as much as you would want them to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like he's if that card was on a better character, I think Shield would be willing to take it maybe. But Human Torch is just like you have to take Human Torch to get it.
Right.
And he kind of underwhelms. So I'm gonna say that I think they kind of missed the mark with Human Torch a little bit, especially looking at Pyro now. And I think Pyro's the other end of the spectrum too. Sorry to interrupt, but I think Pyro's the other end of the spectrum where he's like too good, and I think this character is probably not quite there enough.
I'd agree with that. Which is funny because if you look back to like the internet talks when Human Torch was spoiled, was like, oh my god, this character is insane. And then I don't think I've actually once played against a Human Torch. I don't think I've ever seen him across the table for me.
I've played against him like twice. I think that's it.
But it's just crazy to think about because I remember a lot of people talk about how excited they were for this character and how crazy he was going to be. And oh my god, like he's got another steal, like, or he's got like the drop. So it's like, and like he's gonna be crazy at generating power. He's like, this character is gonna be nuts. Yeah, he'll die easy, but like he's gonna be shooting beams everywhere and doing this and doing that. And like, as like once he was released, it was like he never released at all.
Yeah.
And I also like. Sorry to interrupt, but by the way, I don't even think I said the name of the segment. The name of the segment is Hot Take Time Machine. And that's kind of the whole point of what you're talking about, Dyzard, and I'm glad you said that, because we're reflecting on the takes from when it came out, just as much as we're reflecting on the character. And that's a really good point, is that people thought the reception when he got spoiled was like really positive. And now nobody plays him. So that's interesting. Go ahead, Ben. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I wonder, and I'm just trying to get in AMG's head that of course when we saw the character first before we saw the card, and so there was that like brief moment where people were hoping that this was the beginning of the Fantastic Four, and I just, for me, my hot takes now is like, please AMG don't make a Human Torch Johnny Storm just hot trash like this, right? Like that's my fear, is that Johnny Storm is just going to be somewhere in the sphere of Human Torch.
Okay, I'm gonna interrupt you on purpose here.
Hit me.
I feel like, I don't know, like I feel like whenever we do get a Johnny Storm, it's going to be a 4-threat Pyro. Is going to be my assumption. If I had to like give,
hope so.
If I had to give a prediction what AMG will do with Johnny Storm, it's going to be a 4-threat Pyro where everybody's just like, oh my god, this character. That's my expectation for Johnny Storm. Granted, I could be proven wrong, but like Johnny Storm is such a like iconic, like overpowered in the comics character. That it's going to be hard for him not to be overpowered in the game.
I also bet that they kind of use the Jim Hammond release here almost as like a testing ground to like see what they like for this type of niche for when they do make Johnny Blaze, because they don't want to miss on that, I'm sure. Like they don't want Johnny Blaze to be not Johnny Blaze, Johnny Storm. Johnny Storm to be a like a whiff.
Yeah. And I think you're right, Diz, and that's a good call. That I think there's going to be a neat opportunity that all the Fantastic Four, the royal family, needs to be all fours, right?
Yeah, I want them to be all fours.
Right, they need to all be fours, and we just need to live the dream. So yeah, I mean, I look at Human Torch, and I think that's probably a really great way to look at Human Torch, to say, hopefully the original Human Torch is a jumping off point for Johnny Storm, and just hopefully Johnny Storm is just a better, Human Torch mixed with Pyro. So
for sure. So are we ready to? Okay, so we agree that this character is definitely a miss. How do we feel about the other side of the box? Steve Rogers, who I think when I mean, tell me if I'm wrong here, but when this character got spoiled, there was a lot less excitement, and I think a lot of people were like really underwhelmed by him. Um,
Yeah, why don't we
so
have Diz? Why don't you send us off on this one?
Okay. Okay. So I when time travel. um, when he was
Comes with sound
spoiled,
effects.
when he was spoiled, everybody was like, "What is this character?"
yeah,
And I was very much one of the people that was like, "I like him. It's different. It's very much like classic Captain America is the feeling I got from him, like classic comic book Captain America, where he's not very super. He's just like a dude with a shield that can punch people and he can like take a hit. Um, and like that's like what I felt like they did with this, and I thought it was pretty good. And I thought for Shield it was like going to be like a good four threat for somebody that can like be pretty mobile and do stuff. And I'll tell you what, I played against this way more than I did Human Torch,
yeah.
and which is funny because it's the exact opposite reaction where he was like nobody should ever play this character essentially, and I saw him plenty of times, and he like did a lot in a lot of the games I saw him play. Um, like he's very mobile, very punchy. Actually worth his salt in my opinion. I do think he's worth a four threat, and he's very decent character. And I think the only reason why he's not really played or splashed anywhere or anything like that is one, Shield's a very like low pilot count for Shield in general, and two, there's just so many good fours right now that it's hard to argue why you would play this. Um, like he doesn't really do anything crazy special. He's just a generic beater. Like you're really like he's an affiliation piece that you need a four threat. That's where I see him as, and I don't think he's a bad four threat. I don't think he's an amazing four threat. He's like that middle of the bell curve, like greatly balanced, great design, and he's got a very straightforward purpose. Like he's no bells and whistles. But I think that's fine. You have to have characters like that in this game.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my thing with him is he's just, I guess for lack of a better term, he's kind of boring. And that's why you don't see him enough. But when he does hit the table, like he's actually something that I like try to take out as much as I can, because if he's left to do to his own devices, he will literally like just surprise you.
He can go off. I think honestly, I agree with a lot of what you said. I think the biggest downfall of this character is that he's like a brawler who is only affiliated with an affiliation that does not really want a brawler.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And he doesn't like he's not standout enough to be splashed really, especially like you said with four threat being so like contentious. But I do think his kit functions very well, and he's a very fun character to play, and he can be like a massive threat on the board. And the only thing that I really don't like about his kit, like honestly, I hate that he's 5 stamina on his injured side. That annoys the crap out of me. I wish it was 6, but everything else about him I think is fine. It's a very balanced, basic, like fun character. Ben, you actually play a little bit of Steve, so
I do.
Why don't you take the reins?
Well, I will say one of the first things that drives me absolutely insane, and I got on the forums, I was on the Discord, the fact that Steve Rogers, Captain America, cannot use end of the line drives me absolutely insane. Because it's, Steve Rogers, Captain America, and end of the line is, Captain America, Steve Rogers. And it's like, son of a, and I get why Thoris and a couple of my other rules buddies had to hold my hand of explaining why it doesn't work. And I agree with the rules assessment, but it's just a missed opportunity, in my opinion. I actually really do like this character. I like, and Diz, you said it well, that he's just a normal guy who's just punching and throwing his shield. And I actually don't play him in Shield. Where I play him is in Hydra. One, there's a thematic part. I really actually like the thematics of having this cap being Hydra cap. So we actually have an extra Captain America who we painted up like Hydra cap. Uh, so he's on this roster, and I really like that theme. Um, and with Baron Strucker, I've had a lot of success with the Steve Rogers.
Wait, with Strucker. That's interesting you said. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I feel like I really like him with Skull. Like he spends his power so well that if you get more, I don't know.
They're both really effective. I like him in Strucker just a little bit more, just because he can survive a little bit longer. Because you're right, the 5 stamina on the back side is really annoying. And I've had some success because there's so much rerolls in Hydra with Strategic Genius with Zola, that I was finding success in his builder with the Stars and Stripes at range 3. So he's getting some flurries off. He's getting the power gen by himself with the rerolls, the innate rerolls from Hydra. So he can do your on your left. I mean, he can do some of these things that is really helping him out by himself with the rerolls. And he just needed, when I was playing him, just needed some more survivability. So I was down on him when he first was revealed. I was just kind of, I didn't really know what to expect, and I wasn't super wowed by it. But after Hydra came out, I really liked Steve Rogers, Captain America in Hydra. I haven't really tried him in too many other places, but yeah, I'm liking him, and I still like him. He's still in the Hydra list that I played today. He's still there. So
I kind of want to play him in Dormammu.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you see all the ways that he could spend.
Seems so fun. Power. Yeah, just seems really fun. Like he can power dump if he has too much, and he'll so he doesn't kill himself. And he can get his on your left on turn 1.
Yep. Yeah, and then he becomes a fast boy.
He seems fun. I like it. But yeah, so I mean, it's kind of funny. So the end result here is Human Torch was perhaps a little too loved on release, and Steve Rogers was maybe a little underloved. I think Steve Rogers is perfectly average, and Human Torch is a bit under the curve. So are we in agreement?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. So that wraps up the first ever Hot Take Time Machine. So well done, guys. Give yourself a pat on the back. We made it through.
There we go.
Next week next episode, we're probably going to be talking about the Winter Guard releases, which I can't wait for because perfect timing.
Because you figured it out. You cracked. Spoiler alert: he's cracked the code.
But we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about LVO just happened. So I mean, there's a lot to say about LVO. First of all, Ben, you were there. We're going to break down your run in a later episode, but why don't you take the reins here? Just because I mean, you were there, so I mean, talk to us about it.
Yeah. Well, just a heads up, we are finishing editing the video that my wife and I went. Alyssa came with me, and that was really awesome. Being able to travel with someone that you love. Not that I don't love you, Shane. We had a wonderful time in Everwinter, but it was wonderful to.
Thanks for the clarification.
just we got to make it clear, And you know what, Diz? I'd love to travel with you too, bud. But next time we'll have a bros. Yeah, we'll have a bros trip. All 3 of us. It'll be glorious. But no, this was wonderful. It was our first time going out to Vegas. And the event was just awesome. There was, so many people. The crowds were great, and the MCP tickets sold a little over 200 tickets for the MCP event. The LCQ, the last chance qualifier, had 91 people in it, which blew my freaking mind. That was just awesome to see that many people jam-packed and getting into the last chance qualifier. There were some big names that we saw at the LCQ, which was really neat. And actually, spoiler alert: Vincent Kirchhoff was one of those people in the LCQ, and so it was one of those really neat kind of created opportunities where you're rooting for people, you're rooting for this last chance qualifier. People are getting serious, and there was no breaks. 5 games, no lunch break, nothing. You slammed your 5 games, and it was glorious. I was my wife's dice caddy, and food cheerleader. I mean, it was just awesome. The professional casual guys were out there streaming, so it was awesome.
Yeah, shout out to PCN. You can go watch all their streamed games, I believe, on their YouTube channel now.
Yes.
They do a very good job.
Yeah. And so, and we'll spend a little bit more time just kind of talking about my thought process, behind all that fun stuff. But I just want to we'll start out of the gate talking about the LCQ affiliation breakdown. I think that's probably a good way to kind of get us started about talking about what LVO kind of, I think, reveals about the meta, kind of where we are in MCP. And out of 91 players, every affiliation was represented except one.
X-Force.
No, there were 2 X-Force players.
Oh, okay.
Wait, don't tell me. Don't tell me. I know what it was. I'm not looking it up. I'm thinking. Was it Wakanda?
I was surprised. It was Wakanda.
Crazy.
I was surprised that we had 3 Sentinel players. We had 4 Inhuman players. We had 1 Midnight Sun player, 1 Winter Guard player, 1 Defenders. These teams that aren't getting a lot of love, right? And no Wakanda. And I think that for me kind of revealed that people were a little hesitant about Wakanda's strength with the big nerfs to Gamma and Research Station.
Can I just interrupt you really quick, Ben?
Yes.
I was curious who the 1 Winter Guard player was.
It was my boy Otis.
I scroll up and it's Otis, and not only was he playing Winter Guard, he was triple affiliated with Winter Guard, Sentinels, and X-Force.
Yes, he was.
Spirit.
What a low tier legend! I love that.
And he got his win in, and my Otis, I was so proud of him.
Love Otis.
Yeah, shout out to Otis. That man is a freaking legend. Just grinding, and he is the number 4 Sentinels player in the world. So props to Otis. But yeah, so I think this kind of revealed where we are in the meta of people worrying about Wakanda's strength. We'll talk about Wakanda's representation in the actual invitational. Unsurprising to a lot of people, the 2 highest. Well, not surprising. I think many of us, the tied for first was Brotherhood. I think we all kind of came into that. Brotherhood's very strong right now. Hashtag Magneto is right. And so I was pleased to see that we had 14 people playing Brotherhood. I was surprised by number 2. I was really expecting X-Men in that slot, but at the number 2, tied for first, was Avengers at 14 players. And then again, I was surprised for third was Criminal Syndicate.
Crime being third is more surprising to me than Avengers being second.
Yeah, I really thought Avengers was going to be either third or fourth, to be honest.
I think Avengers will always be like right up there, either first or second, just because of the fact that it's Avengers. They're always going to be good because they have such a great roster, and that's never going to change.
And they're so accessible too, and they're so popular, and yeah,
that's super fair. So Crime comes in number 3 with 9 players, and then we had another tie for fourth plays with, and this I was again. I don't know about you. Guardians and X-Men coming at eight players in the qualifier. Really, that was such a low number for me. I was expecting, 10, 12, if not more players with the Thanos, space reality nonsense that I was prepping for a lot. Um, I was expecting to see that everywhere. X-Men's another really popular team, so them coming in at 8 players. What were your thoughts about Guardians and X-Men coming in at 8 players?
Well, honestly, it is a little surprising, and I think Guardians ended up being on the low end and the Invitational too, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Yep. Yep.
X-Men is surprising. I would have expected about 10 to 12. I think one of the funniest, this is not super relevant, but I think the funniest stat on here is that there are more Black Order players than there were Black Order games.
Yes.
Because
Yep.
it's just the Thanos splashes.
Yep.
That's super hilarious to me. I don't know about you guys. But no, I mean, it is pretty weird. Like nothing here is like super crazy, I think, other than I think it is a bit crazy that Wakanda wasn't anywhere with 90 something players.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, X-Men and Guardians a little under the curve what I'd expect. 6 foes was cool.
Yeah, we thought of you. You were living the dream with 6 foes.
Yeah, I don't think any of them qualified through here,
One,
but
one, yeah, one made it in the invitational. I don't know if he qualified.
yeah. No, I mean, I think that the stats here were interesting. I think more interesting though are the invitational stats, just because we have more data on that, like character wise. But did you have any thoughts at all on the invitationals or on the qualifier stuff, Dyzard?
Not really. It's the same. Like Brotherhood being up there is not surprising. Avengers not surprising. See, like you said, CS is like the what? I thought they called it quits. Like
Stocks were kind of
that's
down on CS.
yeah, like that. That's honestly really surprising to me. But as far as like expecting more X-Men players, I feel like you have like a loud voice coming from the X-Men players, but most of the people that are like championing X-Men were already qualified.
That's fair.
It's a good point.
So I think that's like something to look at. Because like I could think of 4 off the top of my head that would make that number 13 that were already qualified.
Yeah. Oh, and if there was any doubt about the syndicate being so, like, we're shocked by how many there are, and in the context of their stocks being down, considering there was 9 of them. All right, there was 9 syndicate players. The highest placed one was 26th.
Yeah.
So that's pretty rough.
Yeah.
They had a rough showing, both in the invitational and in the LCQ. So, yeah. Well, going right into the invitational. I think one of the neat things that happened is that we did a bracket system for the invitational. So imagine a 64, person tournament, like old March Madness. And it was just so cool to have it done that way. It created some interesting, conversations late Friday night when the bracket was revealed. Everyone is just pouring over their bracket. There was a couple of, March Madness, fill out your brackets. Who do you think is going to win? That type of deal. And it's cool. I know from my point of view, I was looking at my bracket going, okay, if I win my game and I get this is the matchup I need. So I'm rooting for people. And that was really cool. I very much enjoyed that aspect from the tournament. So shout out to Omnis and shout out to Sam, whose last name escapes me, the creator of Longshanks, who put this in just I think maybe a week before the event. So
I didn't know that.
yeah, I mean Omnis and Tyson asked them to be able to put this in. So props to them. I was very excited to see this. So the breakdown, and this is kind of what I expected a little bit more from the top three. The top three breakdown tied for first in Brotherhood and X-Men at 13. I was expecting that. Disappointed that Brotherhood didn't eke out X-Men by one, but that's okay. We are still the superior mutant team, and that's okay. Looking at you, X-Force. Shots
I'm
fired.
really punching down here. Come on.
Wow.
Wow. We need the soundboard for that. But and coming in right behind Brotherhood and X-Men was Avengers at 12. Then again, after that, I was kind of surprised. We saw Cabal at 9. What was a big shock for me, again, just because I was seeing it all the frickin' time in my practice games,
So
getting ready.
I want
go
to
ahead.
cut you off really quick. I'm sorry. So Jacob Collins from Danger Room, he actually did a whole article where he
Right. Yeah.
he listed the rosters, and he actually like sorted out and like filtered out the ones, because there's some that might be listed as a certain affiliation, but like if you look closer at the roster, it's like, oh, they're taking none of the cards, right? They just have it listed because they have like Black Panther, right?
Right.
So like he filtered that out, and the amount of actual Cabal rosters once you filter through it is 4.
Yeah.
So there was 9 that were listed as Cabal just because there was probably a Malekith on the roster, but the amount of people actually taking Cabal was actually only 4, which is pretty interesting.
It was, and I was gonna. I'm glad you said that, because I was gonna be able to mention Jacob from the Danger Room is just an animal going through stats. What a crazy person! Because like I said, he had to look through and really made some strong assumptions about some teams, like you said, and he says in his article that if they're not, taking some obvious cards that would lean for their affiliation, that then obviously he made the assumption that they would not play with them. So, but Avengers coming in at 11 is not surprising.
I mean, it's crazy that Brotherhood, X-Men, and Avengers were 37 of the 64, like more than half.
Yeah.
Of the roster of the players were playing the same 3 things.
Yeah, I love it, and there was a nice spread. Looking at the brackets, that now of course I had a round 1 mirror match into Brotherhood, which was lovely, but there was a nice spread of not every Brotherhood player got a mirror match, but then we saw Shield at 6, Crime at 5, Guardians at 5, which that was the big surprise of the whole tournament for me, was not seeing more Guardians.
Yeah, I think there was only, specifically the Space Reality Thanos Guardians, there was only like 2 people doing that.
Yes, yeah. There was a couple other Guardians players who were not playing what I thought they were going to get ready for. Then, not really surprising anybody, the folks who didn't show up: Asgard, Dark Dimension, Defenders, Inhumans, Midnight Sun, Sentinels, Winter Guard, and X-Force. And that was just because our boy Dyzard was not there, just destroying everybody with X-Force. So
I don't know if that would be happening if I was there, but yeah.
I believe. The big takeaway for me, one of the biggest surprises about LVO, and then I'll pass the baton, and something that I'm not going to lie, I was very happy and sad about simultaneously, was all of the Web Warriors lost round 1. All of them.
Yeah, Web Warriors were rough at LVO. They did not have a good showing.
They did not have a great showing. And shout out to my buddy Matt Alex. And I told him this. Like I said, I was both happy and sad. One, because I know that Matt Alex is would just beat the brakes off of me. And so I'm glad that I didn't have to play against him and his strong Web Warriors. But it was surprising that all 5 Web Warriors players lost. in round one. And that was really surprising because I've always looked at and seen Web Warriors as a really strong affiliation when piloted at the top tier. And we had, in my opinion, the two best Web Warrior players in the world with Matt Alex and Ryan Farmer, both at LVO in the Invitational. So I think that was a surprise for me to see both of them lose in round one. But
I think it's just a testament because those are both great players. It's just kind of a
Yes.
testament to where Web Warriors are at the moment. Meta doesn't seem super friendly to them. Let's play a game right now, okay, guys? I'm going to. So Ben, if you're looking at the character list, I want you to avert your eyes, flip the tab, go to a different page.
Okay.
I'm gonna name a character, and then I want each of you to guess how many appearances and rosters at the Invitational this character had, and whoever gets closer wins. Okay. Are we ready?
That's good.
All right. Baron Zemo.
56.
Wait, 56 Baron Zemos?
Yeah.
56 Baron Zemos.
Out of 64
I'm gonna,
rosters?
I'm,
Oh,
I'm
I'm
gonna-
sorry. I'm still on my head said 91 for some reason.
Okay.
Let's go 43.
43. Okay.
43. I'm going to say 15.
Okay, Ben wins. There's only 9 Zemos.
Oh my god. I value Zemo way higher than anybody else apparently.
Yeah, just all on that Zemo train.
I've been playing a lot of Zemo again lately, and I'm like, wow, this character is still just so good.
He's so good. Yeah.
All right, next one. Just because we just did it, Steve Rogers, Captain America.
3.
0.
There was 2. Dyzard wins.
Wow.
Here's one. Here's a good one. Corvus Glaive.
8.
I'm gonna say 10.
Dyzard wins because there's only 1 Corvus Glaive.
Oh my god.
That's crazy.
What?
Yeah. All right. Next up. So Dyzard's up 2-1, Ben.
I don't like it. I don't like this.
Here's a spicy one. All right. Mystique.
Well, I brought her, so I
48.
know.
48.
I know that she was top 5. I don't think we had someone represented that high in the total numbers. I'm gonna say 35.
Ben wins this one. She was the 3rd most taken character, 25.
Oh, okay.
I don't think
I'm all
we
or
had-
nothing, It's either it's everywhere or it's nowhere.
She was in
Yeah.
every single roster.
Okay, we got it.
What are you, is she a Koye? Get out of here.
All right, few more. We're tied at 2-2 right now. Okay, new hotness. How about Pyro?
I know he was another top 5 pick. We'll say 28.
I was gonna say 28. I'll do 30.
Ooh, Ben wins 18. 18
Oh.
of them. He was actually the
Oh.
6th most taken character, so just
What's
outside
that
thought
top
it-
5? Okay.
I thought it'd be more than Mystique. Actually, he should have been more than Mystique.
He's crazy.
Yep.
Um,
He's a problem.
Okay, Ben is up 3-2.
Oh my goodness.
Next up,
Mm.
my personal favorite guy right now to play, Crimson Dynamo.
I was waiting for it. All right, Diz, you got
12.
5.
6 Crimson Dynamos.
Bam,
Ben is up
my
4-2.
Bam, bam, bam.
We're gonna do 2 more rounds, and if Dyzard can win 2 in a row, we'll do a overtime. All right. How many Magnetos? Ben, you got to get this one.
Oh yeah, this hurts.
15?
I'm gonna 15. I know it was a surprisingly low amount when I looked at it. I'm gonna say I think it was like 12.
Ben, you got it. There was 10
Oh.
Magnetos. So Ben,
Yeah,
you win this competition.
I will say just as a timeout, all of those Brotherhood, people jumping on the train, not representing my boy Magneto. What are you doing? You're killing
I think
me.
most of
So
the,
there should have been 15.
so most of the brotherhoods.
There should have been how many Brotherhoods did
There
we
was-
had? We had
13 brotherhoods, so 3 of them
So-
didn't take Magneto.
So there should have been 15.
yes.
Yeah.
You splash them. Oh yeah.
Two splashes.
I will say, if one of the funniest things about this article that even Jacob put out of all of the Mystiques, so there was how many Mystiques? There was 25. There was one roster. So there was 24 deceptions. So one roster had Mystique, no deception.
That's sickening.
It just hurts my brain.
All right, I have a new game. Really quick one. This one's just funny to me. I'm gonna list two characters that are like totally irrelevant, and you're gonna guess which one of them appeared at LVO because the other one didn't. Okay.
Hit me.
All right. Viper and Scourge.
Gotta be Viper.
Viper has to have been appeared.
So you're saying Viper did appear or did not?
Did.
Ben,
I
you're
am.
saying
I know. Yeah, I am too. I'm saying that Viper was there.
Viper was there. There's one Viper. There was no Scourge. Okay, next we're gonna go Crossbones and Punisher.
No Punisher, yes, Crossbones.
Yeah, no Punisher.
There was one Punisher and no Crossbones.
What?
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, one more. I'm loving this. Okay. Okay. What's a really good one? Ooh, okay. I've got a good one. Black Widow, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Ultron?
I'm gonna say there had to be an Ultron.
I think there was a Black Widow.
There was a Black Widow.
Oh, boo!
All right, so Dyzard wins this game.
Oh, what? Get out of here!
I win the more fun game. We were tied on everything else.
That's true. That's true.
So, the top 5 most taken characters, though, were Hulk, Toad, Mystique, Juggernaut, and Dr. Voodoo. Voodoo's still hanging in there. There was 34 Hulks. There was more than half of the rosters had Hulk. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I brought him too.
He's
we need our Lord and Savior Beta Ray Bill to come into the game.
Fix that problem. Yeah.
Bully Hulk.
Yeah. I was. I'll tell you this, we'll make it official on the podcast. I'm really glad that Vincent won. It was really amazing watching him play his shield, and not do some of the shenanigans that some us Brotherhood players were doing. He played amazing. Him and Mike DeLuca's game was just really hilarious to watch because Vincent played I think 6 or 7 characters with the grunts on Research Station, and it was just hilarious just to see how many people could get around that silly research station. It was pretty funny. Just a lot of big bodies. But it was great. It was really awesome to play at that type of level with other people who were playing at that caliber. It was really fun. It was my first big tournament like that. Like I said, I've gone around New York State, playing several other smaller, up to 20 people tournament. And Alyssa won the best Inhuman player. There was no Inhuman player at the Invitational, so they and any faction that was not represented in the Invitational, they took the best in that affiliation in the qualifier. Alyssa played 2 games with Inhumans. She won both. She won both of them and auto locked that W for the best Inhuman player.
Well done.
There you go.
And it was just just so we can make it official on the podcast, she beat 2 Spider-Foe players. So,
I gotta make something right. I gotta make this right.
It felt good. I was like, this one's for Shane. It was great.
So I will say, speaking of Spider-Foes, Rhino did crack the top 10 with 16 appearances. I expected more. I thought he was going to be in the top 5, honestly. Maybe that's optimistic, but man, the character's so easy to paint. He came in like a cheap single box. He's really shiny and new. I just thought he was going to be everywhere. He kind of was everywhere, just not as much as I thought he was going to be.
Yeah, that's and like I said, you had the one Spider-Foe player who made Invitational. He took 30 seconds, so right there, right in the middle, of the pack. So,
I'll take it.
which would, yeah, no, we'll take it. I ended up, I don't think I mentioned it. We'll talk a little bit more. I finished 11th, and 11 out of 64s. I'll take it.
That's not bad at all. You know,
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Pretty good. But like I said, I can't encourage people enough to, if you've got the the time and the finances to be able to go out to Vegas for LVO, I can't encourage you enough to do that. And next year I plan on sealing Dyzard and putting him in my bag so he can come with me.
So one last thing I want to talk about before we wrap this up is crises. With the new crisis changes, it's really interesting to see what people are taking. So specifically, I mean, it's cool to look at the most popular crisis, but it's not usually a surprise. Like, okay, Infinity Formula was the most popular. That doesn't blow my mind. Demons was the second most popular, which, considering Brotherhood being so popular, doesn't surprise me. Gamma, I guess the same. People are kind of like unsure how to feel about the Gamma changes, but it's getting taken a lot. I think the more interesting thing, though, is to see what like nobody's taking. The least popular secure was Deadly Meteors.
I had that.
You had it? You were one of the 5 that had it.
I was one of the 5. Damn,
Yeah.
damn right.
So I want to say something on that. I think Meteors is actually in a really interesting spot because it's one of the few secures that you can't really jank.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like it's a super fair secure.
That's an interesting point. Because the shape is very like neutral.
Yeah.
It does kind of somewhat force a brawl, but it's a little more spread out than it looks when you're
Yeah.
looking at the map.
Yeah, because you got that angle, so it's like your home to their home is a bigger difference than like a normal C, and it's at a very neutral threat level because 17, and it's got the RNG with the pay to flip, so it's like it might be the most fair scenario in the game right now.
Yeah.
That is an interesting hot take that I don't totally hate. Honestly, I think that's an interesting thought. Mayor Fisk was also only in 8 rosters, very unpopular.
I feel like that one is because of how egregious it is. It's like the opposite, complete opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah,
Like
that's a very brutal.
nobody wants to play Fisk and Senators, and I think people are afraid to fall into the Fisk and Senators because that is what 6. That's 10 points available on the board where you can easily just skyrocket and swing the game in one turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's very like centralized and brawly. Senators, we talked a little bit about Senators on the last pod. Senators is pretty toxic. It appeared in 20 rosters. Probably most of the Brotherhood players took it, and some other madmen that I don't know. I can't imagine like going into LVO. My thought was, I look at Senators, like Brotherhood Senators, the way that you would look at like Legacy Virus Steve before. Like if I see Senators on a Brotherhood roster, I'm taking my extracts. I don't even want to like. I'm not going there.
Yeah.
But there was 20, so I mean, at least 8 players took it that were not Brotherhood, and I don't.
I ran into a couple of them, and
Yeah.
I just kind of giggled.
Obviously, Hammer is the most popular. It's probably always going to be the most popular extract as long as it is the way it is. It's just very accessible and like.
And everybody's good at hammers.
Yeah, everybody gets an extra attack.
Everybody's good.
It is like interesting because, it's hard to like not have parity on hammers, so it has that going for it as far as like being, like feeling accessible. Some teams are definitely better than others at hammers, but it's one of those things where it's hard to like identify if you're bad at hammers. It's like, oh, it always feels good to have a hammer. But least taken extract. This doesn't surprise me. Alien Ship. I don't know how to feel about Alien Ship.
That actually surprises me because I think Alien Ship is the most fair extract.
Really?
Yep.
Interesting.
Like, yeah, it's an uneven number, but everything's an uneven number now for
It's all
extract, except
midline,
for
though.
Senators. It's all midline. There's no real negative and there's no real positive. Like, it's just kind of there. Sure, you have the roll dice to take damage, but how, like, it's too easy to dump power with characters that you're doing extract carries with most of the time. I don't really see that many ways to truly get an edge on alien ship. Like it's typically like if I don't know what to take for a third extract, I'll just throw alien ship in there because again, 17 threat midline.
So, so in my
But-
mind, like in a world where almost 40% of the rosters have deception, I don't
Yeah.
want anything to do with alien ship.
So here's a magical thing about X Force right now. Cat and mouse is deception proof.
That is true.
Like cat and mouse is like literally like deception insurance.
Yeah, it is a safe grab for a lot of things. That's so interesting.
But there's also like there's so many grunts in the game now that you could easily just like most rosters take a character with a grunt. From my experience of what I've seen, I think it might be changing a little bit now, but I typically always see a roster across from me that like has like a grunt character, and that's deception insurance right there.
Yeah.
Like I'm a firm believer that Mystique is leaned on too heavily and deception is leaned on too heavily and it's starting to become a crutch for a lot of players. And people are getting better and better about playing around deception. So when I see something like Creekcore, even if I'm going into a Brotherhood player or someone taking this deception Mystique, like I'm like, okay, like this is fine. Because like it's there are ways to get it, but it's also like it's a VP swing of one, and I'm just gonna focus more on secures at that point to keep parity. So like that's where like the fairness comes in, is you're able to keep parity with the secures.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, I think it's weird because kind of like you're saying, like for me, I've had to play against deception so many times because it's so common now.
Yeah.
I don't know the last time I lost because of deception on the other team, but I know for a fact I'm getting tired of playing against it because it's not fun to play against, really. It's not very interesting.
Right.
But I agree. It's kind of like a crutch for some players. Legacy Virus only had 9 appearances.
I think that's just because people played it before because they could break it, and now they can't break it as easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also like just weird enough that like you still don't really want to play it, but it's not crazy enough that people want to jank it either. So it just kind of like falls away.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it.
I'm surprised Cubes is bottom 4.
That's because I think people still have the stigma of the 5 extract game. Like people don't want to take 5 because it's such an odd, literally. It's
a very odd number.
It's such a weird number for extracts because it's like somebody is going to get 3 and somebody is going to get 2. Like somebody's guaranteed to be on the back foot from the start of the game, and there's just a lot of teams that can like do that better than the majority of the teams. So safer play is just not to play cubes.
Yeah.
Well, we've already figured out the best game plan into that. I mean, Shane knows it. The easy way to break, those cubes or 5 extract.
Let's play foes.
Is play foes and play wildland plants. Right? That's I mean that's best card in the game.
I hate it so much. Why do you guys get me started on this? I hate. Oh no, we can't. We're moving on.
Yes.
We're gonna move on. Scrawls
Yes.
was the second most taken extract, which surprises me. There's 27 Scrawls taken.
I think Scrolls is a good one right now because it's like next to fair. It's easy to get parity on it, but it's also a risky fair because if you just roll bad on every single pickup, you're in a really like sketchy spot.
Yeah. I don't mind Scrawls. I'm just surprised it was so taken. I'm surprised so many people took it.
I think just compared to like the other options, it's like I said, it's next to fair in my opinion.
Yeah. 42% of rosters. Wow. Anyway, so there's not a ton of interesting stuff. Like I don't like tactic cards or whatever. Brace is obviously the most taken. Then fallback. What I want to check really quick. Were there any? Oh, there's well-laid plans at the bottom. Were there any restrictor cards that did not get taken? I'm going to check. Disarm was once.
While you're looking that up, I will say it was kind of affirming in some of the roster selections that for the crisis cards. I think Indomitable was really one of the least taken restricted cards. I think
There was 11 Indomitables, so it was taken more
Yeah.
than Follow Me. And
Right.
more.
which I had both. I had both of those.
Yeah, it was taken more than Follow Me, taken more than Disarm, and I think everything else was taken more. I can't.
Yeah, Sacrifice at 18.
I think
Sacrifice.
it comes down to the Rhino and the Jugs. People expecting a bunch of them.
Yeah, and I'll say, I'll give away some of my secret tech. I think Brotherhood, especially Magneto Brotherhood with Indomitable, is just silly good. And this was something that Shane and I were talking about. Once we had that conversation and we put Indomitable in the list, my win rate skyrocketed.
I talked you into that.
Yeah, and you
I
did.
take
Like I
credit for
said, it just skyrocketed. And that bad boy's never leaving the roster ever again. And like I said, it stops some crucial plays, and it's just such a strong card for
Very
teams
good with
that want.
Yeah, very good with Brotherhood too.
Yeah. Yep.
So that pretty much wraps up our LVO stat breakdown. The only other thing, we can talk about was, obviously Vince won a Shield, and in the finals he played against Avengers, it was Sam Wilson Avengers, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I'm just glad Sam didn't win another big event.
Yeah,
That's like congrats to Vince. Like, he's a great player. I played against him quite a few times. And big GGs. But man, thank you for not letting Sam win another big event.
I think,
go ahead, Ben.
Oh yeah, and I think I said this before the cast. I'm just super glad that besides myself, I obviously wanted to win the thing, but that not a Brotherhood won the event, so that all those fake Brotherhood people go play Shield. They're really good. Go play Shield.
Yeah. Well, I think that pretty much wraps us up today. So, first of all, thank you, Dyzard, for coming on and talking to us today.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure to have you.
Well, pleasure to talk. I love talking. So,
thank you to everybody listening through these first 10 episodes of the Crisis Point podcast. There are many more to come in the works. And as always, for the people over at the commandpoint.com/Patreon, thank you guys for supporting us. And, whether it's on YouTube or, Spotify or Apple Podcast, wherever it is you may listen, give us a follow if you aren't already. We appreciate every single one of them. And again, thank you guys for listening.